So we are going to do our morning chores, take care of all the animals. It takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours every day, and I'm just going to show you the routine that we are having right now in the summer every day. So the ducks are the first animals I let out in the morning. We actually lock them up in the evenings. Right now they are in one of our prototype quail tractors that we had on the farm. But that's just where they stay at night. All day long they actually roam freely here, and their main job is to manage the slugs on the farm for the gardens and the terraces where we grow vegetables as well. And the overflow from one of our springs goes into this little micro pond. I made a video about that, one of the more recent videos, and that's where the ducks can just, bathe and drink and be what they naturally want to be. It works really great. They don't really get much feed because we want them to really be actively looking for those slugs, and it works great. We have this little RTV, we call it the Ranger, battery driven. It's really important here on the farm for the morning chores. We have 80 meters in height difference almost, and we just have the animals mobile on the farm. They're quite spread apart. In the mornings I just put the different feed buckets on this for the ducks, the pigs, the chickens, the turkeys, the geese, and then we just drive over the farm, up and down. It's quite a distance, and this thing saves us probably an hour of chore time at least every day. And even when we don't have to drive the feed buckets, it just helps us reach the sheep, for example, high up or down low on the farm. So these are our Kuna pigs. They are about to go out on their new pig pasture that we have been preparing. We'll share more about that in a little bit and in upcoming videos. They are a breed that you could feed almost 100% off of the pasture. We are giving them a little bit of feed every morning right now, and some extra. Then we cut grass and give it to them, but once they're out on pasture, we hope to be able to eliminate that. It's going great here. We're using a deep bedding. Actually, the sheep were here first, now the pigs are on it, and we'll produce compost out of all of this. We are using nipple waterers with the gravity-fed water system here. Just really helps to minimize the mess that the pigs otherwise would love to make with the water. So these here are from March. They are the mom and the babies from, so how old would that be now, 4 months old or so. It's a very slow growing breed. The only reason the industry can put a pig make a pig ready for slaughter in such a short time is because they start with this huge framed pig, just throw tons of feed on it so that it can grow quickly. These pigs are very slow growing, and they need to have less feed, and otherwise they just turn fat. These guys here are from last year. You can see the size difference. They're still fairly small. They really need 2 years before they're ready to slaughter, and you just really need to weigh the options of feed cost versus the time and the cost you would have to have them in the winter. So these little piglets are just from a few weeks ago. So you can see the size difference here. Born a few weeks ago, from March, and then from last year. But it's a very calm breed and very content. Very easy to handle, very gentle towards children. So next we're gonna go to the chickens. They have an automated door that closes up in the evening, opens up in the morning. I'm just checking now the water, checking that everything is alright, giving them the feed that's needed. We keep all of our animals mobile here on the farm. except for these chickens right now, and they cause a lot of damage, and it's not very healthy for them if they are just stationary. But the reason we're doing that here right now is because we're still working on a good solution for a mobile chicken coop on the farm with the terrain that we have. But right here, some buildings, some infrastructure is going to be put in, and so we do not mind them turning this a bit into a desert landscape. And this year it just fits our context that we have the chickens here. It's still great for them, they still have access to pasture, and the small plot that they are destroying, it's going to be a road and a building there, so that's fine for us this year. So these turkeys get daily moves to fresh grass and fresh insects. Turkeys love insects, a lot more even than chicken. They just go for it, they want the protein. We used to use Salatin style chicken trackers in Sweden. Here in Austria for the past 2 years we have now been focusing on using this kind of coop that you can purchase online. The cost is about the same, and we have to find a better solution for the tarp because it just breaks through the wind on the wire. A thick, strong tarp or covering would be great, but otherwise we're really happy with it because you can go in here, you can stand in here, you can reach the animals much nicer, and it's very light. So because it's so light, it blows away in storms, and we actually put some rebar at an angle in each corner just to brace it down so that it won't blow away, which works great. So my last part of the chores here on the farm is to move the sheep and move the geese. We have decided to move our sheep every day in the morning hours just because we've had a heat wave. It has been so hot in the afternoons. It's been pretty much impossible to get the sheep out from under the shade, and it works fine now in the mornings. These are our poorest pastures where we are at here right now because they had a very thick walnut plantation on them. We've taken out every other tree here in last fall and early spring. And there was 50% bare ground at most places, sometimes more. And here we have only grazed twice. This is the second grazing actually right now. We just gave it a lot of rest, and then we really trampled most of the forage down just to protect the ground and to encourage soil life. So this is our second round of grazing. I'll be moving them now. Then we have the geese that you see in the background there. They are rotating behind the sheep. So they are 1 or 2 days behind the sheep. So we are using the Gallagher Smart Fence, which has been working well for us this season with the sheep. Some months ago they would not respect the fence, and we took a couple actions. One is we had to call particularly one animal that would always bust through the fence, and then the others would follow. As soon as we took that sheep out, it was okay. They haven't really gotten out since then, except for when we made some mistakes with the fencing. But in early spring we also trained them to the fence. Last season we had to use netting to keep them in, which is just extremely time consuming. Now with this 4-strand electric fence that we can just put up in minutes, it works really well and is a very effective way for us to move these sheep and keep them fenced. And we trained them while they were in the stable, put some aluminum foil on the fence that they then curiously would touch, and that has worked well. So right now we don't have any issues. We just need to make sure that it's fenced well and it's not grounded out, and that works great. one challenge that you have when you do daily moves with livestock is the water. You need to have water everywhere on the farm. And we have this gravity-fed water system, like I've mentioned before, with plastic piping, with access points all over the farm. And so we can hook up the sheep even up here on one of the highest points of the pasture. And we have just found a very simple solution. We have this float valve here, a very little waterer that just refills quickly as soon as we plug it in. And it's actually made to hang on corrals for calves or sheep or goats. But we have just welded together this rebar with some metal here that we can just hang it onto, and it even allows us to put salt and mineral right next to it, and the geese are actually having the same system, so it's very practical. On the slope, wherever we are, we can just have the water. So I usually look strategically for spots that have poor vegetation where we want extra animal impact, and right here is one of those spots. So what I do is I just put in this rebar, kick it into the ground a little bit, then I get the waterer. And since the sheep are nursing right now and it's very hot, they actually do drink quite a lot. And with the salt and minerals in the surroundings here, they will trample a lot, they will poop a lot, they will urinate a lot, which will really improve the growth here. So first sheep is coming already. One thing I want to show you guys real quick is that right now in this hot weather we have a really good effect here. These are walnut trees, and the farm has been known for blueberries and walnuts for several decades now, but they have been producing very poorly. They were too tightly spaced, and then another thing was that I think they didn't have enough nutrients. The walnut trees just really killed off the soil life underneath with such tight spacing. What we are accomplishing right now, we've taken out every other tree, and now in this heat we are having a high animal impact and to a certain extent a herd effect under the trees, where the sheep bunch up to find shade in this heat wave, and so the tree gives shade to the sheep, and in return the sheep give these nutrients back to the tree. And we're just very curious to see the impact that this will have over the years. So this is a very heavy breed of geese. If you work with an older heritage breed, you will not have to feed them any feed. You can actually accomplish this by good managed grazing. We are giving them some feed now every day. We're using it to move them very easily, to keep them tame. Also to put some extra nutrient input on these pastures. Where the geese were, it is quite a severe grazing. It's not overgrazing because they're so close right behind the sheep, but it's a severe grazing, and we are allowing for longer recovery times for the pastures. But with the extra nutrient input, I think it will balance out quite well. They have that feed, and then for the rest of the 24 hours they have the remaining grass that the sheep left behind, and they're actually doing an awesome job at minimizing sheep parasites. Here you can actually see how the watering system works. It's running along the fence line here, and we have these plus and quick valves, and we have a little bit more of a professional gardener connection that doesn't come apart so easily. This is the actual male that goes down there, and wherever we are on the farm we can plug it in, and with a 50-meter hose we can reach any part of the property. So one thing that is currently part of my morning routine is also monitoring our spring that we have. I measure the flow per minute as well as the temperature, and I put it in a spreadsheet, and we want to do this for a few more weeks because the spring is much more influenced by rainfall, and within a very short time a higher volume actually arrives at the spring, which is not a good sign. We're just using it for animals, so that is okay, but for human consumption you don't want to spring like that. But we're just monitoring it
where it stabilizes, how much the temperature changes, but we have already noticed through the data that we have collected that heavy rainfall really impacts the spring quickly, and that actually the flow per minute has significantly dropped with every day, which we're not very happy about it, but we have to work with it. So I'm measuring 1 minute, and then we'll see. Just how the trend has been downwards. Here we are just about 5 to 10 meters higher above the spring that I tapped, and there's water coming out of the mountain here. It doesn't look like much, but we have measured it, and it amounts up to about 100 gallons each day. So that's not little water, and in a drought that can make all the difference for your animals, for example. So we're going to tap that and leave that in there. There's an old tapped spring here, which made it quite hard to collect all the water, and also another one up there, an old one. So we'll have to see how it looks when we get in there, but maybe we can film it and document it for you guys. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, being part of the chores. It's super hot. I'm gonna go inside now, eat breakfast, and put some fresh clothes on. But hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.